Welcome to the Ray Harryhausen podcast, the show dedicated to the life, career and films of a special effects titan. Join us as we host in-depth discussions about the work, influences and legacies of this uniquely talented filmmaker. Brought to you by the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation, we will be delving into Ray's archive to bring a unique insight into his work, including exclusive audio from the man himself. We will be joined by special guests for retrospectives, exclusive announcements and competitions, so this podcast is a must listen for all fans of the world of Ray Harryhausen, animation and classic filmmaking. Hello and welcome to episode 36 of our podcast and number 6 of our Vodcast. And we have a special awards background here because we're talking about the Ray Harryhausen Awards, and our very special guest is Dr. Steve Henderson, who's director of the Manchester Animation Festival and also the editor of Skwigly Magazine. Dr. Steve, how are you doing?
Hi John, hi Connor, nice to see you again.
Hey Steve. It's great to have you, and of course I'm joined by collections manager Connor Heaney as well, and we're going to interrogate and ask him, and I think we'll probably just call you Steve interview. It's probably sounding very Channel 4. May interrogate Steve over awards and what to look for and what are the
yes, Steve or pitfalls. Your Majesty, either one will do. It's up to you.
Excellent stuff. So did you want to kick off, Connor, with the first questions?
Well, yes, Steve. So we announced, as you know, the inaugural Ray Harryhausen Awards this summer to mark Ray's 101st birthday, and that was obviously, a lot of excitement was generated from our announcement, and we spoke about a little at Comic-Con this year as well. What were your thoughts when you heard that the foundation were going to be running an awards program for animators of all ages and from all kind of professions?
Really excited. I think it's great. The more of this, the merrier. I think in terms of awards for skills, for craft, it's such an amazing thing when somebody gives somebody an award, they're not only showcasing the work that they're awarding, they're also encouraging others in order to participate and to get involved and to do more and more. And to have Ray Harryhausen's name attached to an award is absolutely wonderful. That's such an aspirational thing for anyone involved in stop motion or visual effects to have an award with a legend like Ray Harryhausen's name on it. It's wonderful. It's such a great thing to happen.
Now the kind of the history or the legacy of these awards, as it were. In the past, I'd spoken to Ray Harryhausen about awards, particularly at BAFTA, where they had something called the Lou Grade Audience Award. And Lou Grade was a famous kind of television mogul. He brought the Muppets to the UK and he went on to have great success in America. And they named an award after him, and it was the Audience Award, where people could participate and vote through. I think it was the TV Times at the time. And I remember saying to him about having a Ray Harryhausen Award, and we wondered whether we could have piggybacked onto an existing award. But BAFTA never had an animation award at that time. So I think, in the years that Ray was working, animation and awards for animation, even in the Oscars category, there wasn't a permanent award each year for animation. So it is interesting, Steve, that, older techniques are now being recognized all these years later. Do you think it's quite significant? Because you yourself have awards there at the Manchester Animation Festival.
We do. I've got one here, just because we're on a vodcast. I thought I'd be visual and bring one along. I'm sorry to the listeners, but maybe I could have a little go at explaining it. But it's the Manchester Animation Festival. This is our film award. We do 2 awards. We do the film award for short films, student films, commissioned films. This year we've introduced a feature film category. We also have our audience award as well. And we've also introduced this year short films for children. But as you can see, it's a B. It's like a sort of steampunk B. Created by McKinnon and Saunders, one of their sculptors, Joe Holman, and it weighs a ton, which is always a good sign of an award. It's absolutely weighty, but so our kind of film awards or our awards here, it's Visa Symbol of Manchester and all that type of stuff. But yeah, we found it very kind of important that we were celebrating not only short films, student films, commissioned films, feature films, but also the individuals that work in animation as well. So we have our Industry Excellence Awards as well. Now, the Industry Excellence Awards celebrate writers, storyboard artists, character designers, and character animators, because 99% of animation that we see on TV or in music videos, commercials, it's done in the day job, and not a lot of people have a chance to actually create their own films and enter the Oscars, the kinds of awards. And so when we set up the Industry Excellence Awards, we did it with that in mind, the idea being that we would be celebrating those people who do amazing stuff in the day job. So yeah, that's the Manchester Animation Festival Awards story. And yes, just to kind of go over what you mentioned there about there not being many animation awards when Ray was working in his field. Obviously, I think it was 2001 the first time that the Oscars awarded a feature film award for animation, and BAFTA have only really been doing it in recent years as well. So yes, it is a shame that features have not been awarded, but there's something of a legacy of short films as well. But yeah, we all know Ray won his special award, didn't he? His special Oscar. So if you're deserving of them, you get them in the end anyway.
Well, yeah, because quite controversially, special effects and visual effects weren't a consistent category either in the Oscars. So some years it would happen, and some years it wouldn't. And I think even the makeup award only happened, I think, for the first time for The Elephant Man in the early 80s, and then was a consistent award thereafter. So it is that consistency. If the public can see that awards organizations they look up to regularly and consistently award each year, then I think they take the skill and the artistry of animation then more seriously, don't they?
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think it's really important for animation, for visual effects, that we celebrate the people working in there, because we celebrate our own industry. I mean, some people might look at it and go, "Oh, it's giving yourselves a pat on the back." Well, who else is going to give us a pat on the back? It's about time we were celebrating these individuals, and that's why it's really exciting to have another prestigious award on the award circuit in the shape of the Harryhausen Awards. So I'm really looking forward to these.
So we kept it quiet for some time. I'd come up with the idea around the time I became a trustee of doing our own dedicated awards. You can see behind me kind of an example of one of the concept pieces of art. But we went to one of the kind of the prestige award makers. And I say we, I mean Connor. And so Connor, can you tell us a bit about the award itself and the size of it, what's involved, and the people involved?
Yes, so this is a design by Arch Bronze, who are an absolutely top-notch foundry based in London. They create the Olivier Awards, which are quite a prestigious set of awards. And the design you see behind was a result of sort of many months of conversations about how this award should look, what should be on the award, and we thought it was important to represent Ray's creatures on the award rather than a statue of Ray himself. We thought this would be most appropriate, and it was actually the artist Arch Bronze who suggested that a film reel containing some of Ray's creatures, and you can see these awards are coming along very nicely indeed. They're currently being the molds are being cast as we speak. And they're going to be something fantastic to sit on your mantelpiece with that top sphere containing the name of your film and the type of award that you've won. So these are going to be really excellent. Like, as you say, Steve, with your award, they're going to be heavy, which is very important, and they're going to be about half a foot tall, and we can't wait to get them out and show people the finished awards in 2022. And just going back to a few things he said there about the awards that Ray won in his lifetime. Of course, Ray won his Academy Award and his BAFTA. But as always, we like to delve into the archive and look back at the awards that Ray won throughout his lifetime. Can you guess, Steve, the earliest award that we have, or the earliest kind of recognition of Ray's work that we hold in the archive?
Oh, right. Okay. Now, would it be something from high school? Would it be like a mask making competition at high school or something along those lines? I seem to remember from a book somewhere, because Ray was a creative from the start. So I'm saying high school, but if you said that he won something in nursery, I would totally believe you.
No, not quite. But you as a teenager, yes, 1938. At the as a kind of hobby show at the Los Angeles Museum, and Ray entered his Stegosaurus model, a diorama, which was displayed there. The prize was that it was displayed there for several months with a big blue ribbon next to it. And this was back when Ray was still using kind of lamp flex cords for armatures and kind of the hinges from car rear windows and so forth to build his models, along with the help of his machinist father. But that the fact that certificate and that award are still held within the collection all the way through to the BAFTA award from 2010. I guess it shows the kind of encouragement that he received at a young age, just starting out and being so creative.
That's really important, I think. Yeah, especially when it comes to young people being encouraged and to get involved and to celebrate that work as well. We really need to make sure that we are creating young creatives and that they are aspiring to get involved in things like this. And obviously, I've got nieces and nephews who absolutely adore watching Ray's movies. Seeing the creatures come to life and everything. It's timeless stuff.
It's one of the ways we wanted to keep engaging with people, because of course you can do books and exhibitions and so on, and the films get reissued. But there's something about awards that has young people engaged, because we'll have categories where younger people can get involved. And I was quite keen also to kind of redress the balance of history, because Ray went unawarded and other stop motion animators had during the time Ray was working. Partly that was due to the politics of the awards committee. So when you get nominated in a category, it's often your peers in that category that are working who'll award you. And because Ray and Charles Schneer were working in the UK, they're working outside what was recognized as the usual union parameters and rules. And sometimes that can sway voters, because they think, well, hang on, I had to do it here in Burbank, where it's really tough with the Teamsters. And, Ray's kind of having tea and biscuits in the afternoon down at Pinewood or Shepperton, where it's maybe perceived to be much easier, where it's not as unionized. So we're going to be having a legacy award or a Hall of Fame award or a Lifetime Achievement Award. We haven't entirely decided the category name, but we want to recognize people who in the past have done great work and perhaps haven't been awarded and need to be re-recognized if that's at all possible. So how do you feel about a legacy award?
That sounds marvelous. Yeah, we award our fellowship at the festival every year, and I think you're right. There are some people out there that just deserve the spotlight, that have not been given that accolade, that have not been kind of celebrated as much as possible. And when somebody's made a lasting impact on industry, or when somebody's done something that others look up to, yes, it's all well and good to mention these people every now and then, but there is always the case that there are people that get celebrated that people think maybe, oh, you should have given it to such and such, you should have given it to the other person. Awards categories and nominees are always a good topic of who will win and what's going to happen and all this type of stuff, particularly with film awards. We obviously on the Skwigly podcast, we do a lot of this every year when the Oscars come out, because as you mentioned, that's up to the Oscars to decide, and that's not necessarily attached. The Oscars opinions are not necessarily attached to the Skwigly audience, as we talk about film festivals and things like that. So the films that end up winning at film festivals are not the films that go on to win the Oscars. The films that go on to win the Oscars are the ones with the celebrity backing, which is, it's fine. That's the Oscars. That's the Oscars problem, not ours.
Plus, it's to do with, it's like having a political campaign. If you have enough money for the awards corridor and you've got big PR push between that sort of November, January vote period, and you're bombarding. The Oscars rules had to be changed when Michael Douglas, the actor, actively petitioned people in the acting category to come and visit with his wife, Catherine Zeta-Jones, who had been nominated for Chicago. And she went on then to win in that category. And afterwards, there was complaints that, hang on, was that extra lobbying? Did that play a part in her winning? And we don't know whether it did or it didn't. But the rules of the Oscars then had to change around how much personal lobbying you can do on behalf of, if my dad was Michael Douglas, I'd have him right up here saying, not John's film. But you can see how there are some kind of pitfalls with awards, and between awards fatigue at one side and the kind of the pitfalls of people's ego at the other. Are there any sort of good advice or stories of horror that you can share with us that we should or shouldn't listen to?
Wow, stories of horror for awards. I don't know about stories of horror. I don't think that's in good. But I think in terms of awards, I've known a few artists who take this differently. There are artists that I know that will win big awards and then keep them in their downstairs loo, or not even put them on a shelf. I went to visit one artist, and just in their studio, just in the bottom corner, they just dumped all their awards. Like I also know I've heard stories of artists that have destroyed all their awards. They've had a bit of a bad time of it, and then just decided to just destroy everything. Awards is a very personal thing, and people can get caught up in it. They can get caught up in the competition. They can get caught up in the rivalry. They can get caught up in all of that sort of, this is the prestige. I must have it. I must be on top of the world. I must be the big person in the room. And I think it's always important to remember that an award is a recognition, and a nomination is a recognition as well. And it just happens that somebody comes home with a little bit of silverware. If you take it in the fact that you've participated in something that celebrates your craft and the craft that you're involved in, and take it as good fun, and take it as the honor that it's meant to be, as opposed to it being a cutthroat competition, then you'll enjoy yourself. But if you go into these things thinking, I better win, or I'm gonna win, or any of that type of stuff, then you're not going to have the fun that you would have hoped to have. I think that's probably probably a healthy message I could give to anyone who's lucky enough to be nominated. Well, also at Manchester Animation Festival, before people get nominated, obviously, in terms of I might share a little bit of a horror story. In terms of the films that come through to the festival, we get over 1,000 films that get submitted every year. And the festival team, including myself, we watch every single one of them. We watch them once to see if they're getting in, and then my fellow selection committee will watch them as well. So by the time it gets through to the conversation, it's been watched 3 times. Then it's watched again by the whole team, and the whole team will make a decision. And then it's put into another round. So we say, where would it go on the big list? So and then we watch it again. And so by the time your film is screened at Manchester Animation Festival, I'm sure this is the same for other festivals, it's been watched many, many times. And even before we say no to a film, it's been watched many, many times. And we got a message from somebody one year, and it was it took the fact that we hadn't accepted their film very badly. And it was something along the lines of, the words were something like, I can tell you're not ready for my greatness yet. Which was I took it in good humor. It was a startling email to receive. But yeah, just so people are aware, we are watching all the entries. You will have so much fun going through the entries. You'll see so much amazing work, and you have to make really difficult decisions, because there might well be a category where, or for example, let's use Manchester Animation Festival as an example. If we have to fill a short selection of screenings, and if we get like 5 dinosaur films submitted, we don't want, and they're all brilliant, we don't want to screen all 5 of those dinosaur films, because then we don't have room for anything else in the program. And so we have to make really difficult decisions about letting brilliant films go. And it's such a heartbreaking thing to do. I don't know what you've all, the Harryhausen Foundation, have set yourselves up for. You're going to be going through a lot of brilliant work, and you're going to have to make some really difficult decisions. And so long as the people that are entering these competitions are aware that that's what's happening, I think that they'll obviously take it in good humor. That's the closest to a horror story I can get for you, John. But yeah, not ready for my greatness yet was a wonderful phrase.
And of course, you can reveal now who that person was.
It was John Walsh. It was John Walsh.
It sounds like me. It sounds like mine would have been much more sort of sailor on shore leave expletives. And when I was nominated for my first BAFTA, I was there, and my parents were on the table with me. Channel 4 paid for the table, and I didn't win. And the commissioner turned to me and she said, "Oh, don't worry, John, we'll do another series with you." And I was like, "Oh, great." So, within the obvious disappointment of not winning, she really kindly offered me a second series. We had another bite at it. So you can always benefit from being a good loser as well, I think, at these things.
But hopefully that's what the BAFTA would have got you anyway, is another series, another, to continue that artwork. And that's how awards work, isn't it? To recognize people and to celebrate that. So such a wonderful thing to be nominated, and what a great outcome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, early days is really tough because the nomination goes, particularly for BAFTA, goes on for like a couple of months. So there's the kind of what happens if I do and what happens if I don't. And it's very difficult not to be disappointed on the night. But when you look back and you've got more maybe nominations than actual awards, it's still not a bad thing. It's people like to know who they're working with. It's a recognition. It's something that can't be taken away. But I've spoken to people who've been maybe recognized on their early films and then not later, and they do have a problem with the awards hanging around and being on the walls. I don't, because I just don't. Whereas people feel like it's a hand tapping them on the shoulder saying, "Look, this is what you used to be like. You're rubbish now." And it's a constant reminder of their failure in the present day. So I can see why some people might find it an unnecessary burden and have things sort of piled in the corner. But yeah.
I think it was Adam Elliot, who's a superb Australian stop motion animator. He did a feature called Mary and Max a few years ago, and he admitted on stage at the Bradford Animation Festival years ago that he had that same problem, but now he can look at them like good bottles of wine, and he recognizes them as, "Oh, I remember that festival. I remember that year. I remember that award run." And so having that healthy relationship with it is such a great thing.
I think so. And with the award we've got behind us, the way it's been designed, Connor, am I right in saying that we might change some of these little cameos? I've got the Kraken here and the Redosaurus there, but we could change this up each year, couldn't we?
Yes, absolutely. The castings are maybe 20 a time at the most before a new mold needs to be made. So we can certainly change things up from year to year and have a new set of creatures. We're certainly not short on designs from Ray Harryhausen that could be used. And if anything, it was difficult to kind of boil down to the 3 or 4 that will be on that first set of awards. So yes, that's a good idea for the future. Change it every year. Have a unique Harryhausen award for every year upcoming. And I mean, what a wonderful thing to have on your shelf.
Well, the thing is, I thought at different stages, because you think of everything, don't you? I thought that Minoton himself, being a gold man and being a man of power, a male figure, I thought, yeah, Minoton. We'd end up calling it the Minties or something. That'd be fabulous to have a Minoton, because the almost the obsession around the Oscars being a figurine means that all awards considerations start with how does it work as a silhouette. And of course, Minoton would be a magnificent silhouette, as would any of these behind us, like the Cyclops and of course, Connor has the magical Bubo the Owl. I love Bubo the Owl. That he looks like an award. Bubo the Owl looks like an award all ready to go. So who knows? Who knows what road this will lead us down? At the moment, we don't have external sponsorship, Steve. So yeah, have you sort of ever looked for that? Is that something that we should be looking for, do you think?
Yeah, it's always a good idea to get external sponsorship to get people on board who are like-minded and wish to celebrate the same things that you wish to celebrate. I think that's always a good thing. And I think if you can find that external support and sponsorship, find a like-minded supporter with deep pockets, then then cling on to them. They're great. They're great to have in your address book.
Now, when you at your festival, obviously everything we do revolves around Ray's films and Ray's work and Ray's legacy. For new and young animators, it's not maybe that obvious to them how significant Ray Harryhausen was. It's part of the reason we're doing the awards. Does his name get mentioned that often amongst the young people? Now that we're old, I can say that. Although young ones.
Well, when I used to teach at university, I used to make a point of people understanding who Ray Harryhausen was. Even so, there was one year when I was teaching, and I used to work with my colleague who was into special effects and everything. And so when it came down to naming our render machines for naming the computers, rather than calling them Computer 1, Computer 2, Computer 3, they were called Medusa, Children of the Hydra's Teeth, Bubo the Owl. They're all named after Harryhausen things. So the students were like, the ones who knew, well, they knew. They were like, oh well, I want the cool one. I want that one. I know which one I want. But the ones who were like looking at the computer and going, what's a guanji? And so those had to go away and find out. And so you kind of try and seep it in there. At Manchester Animation Festival a couple of years ago, we invited yourselves to come and showcase the puppets, which was great. And you celebrated. We screened Clash of the Titans on 35mm. And that was a wonderful occasion. So it's a responsibility that we have as a festival to make sure that people are aware of these great masters of the past. We've done the same for small films. We've done it for Ivor Wood. We've done it for plenty of people. I think it's really important that it's not just about looking forward. It's about looking back and celebrating the past as well. And when you've got something as you have, the Harryhausen Foundation, this tremendous archive, which you can show people, here's a piece of history, and here's something that a legend had his hands on throughout the entire process of creating this. And when young people see that, they can aspire to it, and I think that's really important. So yeah. Our festival, it's a no-brainer inviting the Harryhausen Foundation to it to show off puppets and things like that, because it's not just about the prestige of having some of Ray's puppets there. It's about giving something to our audience, and that's really important.
And it's a great test, isn't it, to find out which students know who Ray Harryhausen is or isn't. They can go on the list. We'll keep that list here in the office, just so we know when it comes to close nominations.
Absolutely, yeah. It's funny you were mentioning earlier on, and something sprang to mind. I've got to get it off my chest as well. Bradford Animation Festival, which finished in 2014, they used to hand out an award every year. And the award was like a Mad Hatter. So it was like a guy with a big tall hat on. And I think it was 2008 or 9, when it was actually given a name. How you say the Oscars is given its name because legend has it, was it Shirley Temple's uncle looked like Shirley Temple's uncle or something like that. But the name of the award at Bradford was named the Osgood, because Ray Harryhausen named it. So people who have the Bradford Animation Festival award on their shelves have actually got an Osgood, which was named by Ray Harryhausen.
Oh wow, how wonderful! I knew it was named the Osgood. I didn't know it was Ray that named it there.
It was, yeah.
So I wonder what will become. There we go. Look, Connor, tell us what you got there.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt there, but as Steve was speaking, I noticed on the shelf directly in front of me is this award that was given to Ray, and it said Lifetime Achievement Award, BAF 2010, Ray Harryhausen. So this is the very award that you're speaking about, Steve. I know that there's some great photographs of Ray with this award. I think, I'll edit this out if this isn't true, but I think there's a photograph of Ray with this award and John Landis, his good friend, around about the time that he received this. So as I mentioned, we have all of Ray's awards here in the archive. Many statues, and Ray proudly displayed them in his home and kept them within his collection, and they're here in the Ray Harryhausen collection now, treasured and an important part of his history. And you can see all of the iconic scenes from his films at the bottom here at the base of the statue. So just while you were speaking there, Steve, I just thought I'd go and grab this. I noticed this is on the shelf here in my office here.
Fantastic.
Connor's quite right. Ray used to be grateful and glad he was honoured, and would keep things, whether it was keepsakes because letters had been written or books dedicated. We have a Stan Winston book that's signed by Stan Winston and so on. But all of Ray's awards, including his Oscar and BAFTA and so on, they weren't something that he hid away or was ashamed of or felt threatened by in any sense. So I think Ray recognised they were an important part of recognising your work, but a part of, and then you move on and you continue. To think that Ray was never nominated, he's in good company because, of course, Stanley Kubrick never won an Oscar for directing. Alfred Hitchcock didn't win an Oscar. There's lots of examples in history of people who didn't win Oscars, and yet we still regard them as wonderful filmmakers. Martin Scorsese went Oscarless for many, many years until he won. So, in a sense, some people see it as a badge of honor to not win. Not me. If anyone's listening, not me. I'm not one of them. But, some people do. The categories we've got earmarked now for the first year include Best Feature Film Animation, Best Short, Best Student, Best Commercial, Best Online, and the Harryhausen Hall of Fame Award. So we're keeping it relatively small. It's half a dozen for the first year. And as a chief of staff would say, the optics will be great, because if it's Vanessa Harryhausen handing over the award to each of the winners, then that looks great for us, the foundation. It's wonderful for them, because it's a real point of contact with Harryhausen themselves to have Vanessa's daughter. And of course, Vanessa is very active here at the foundation. So with her award-winning book as well, Harryhausen, Tyson of Cinema, it's very exciting that she is so involved. And I think it's great because she is that link to her father's legacy as well.
Fantastic. Some great categories there.
Probably what I'd like to direct people towards is just some of the information where they can find out more about the Harryhausen Awards. We have a website, which is harryhausenawards.com, and that same name is on our Twitter, Facebook and Instagram accounts. And if you want to get in touch to ask for any more information, the email address is info@harryhausenawards.com. And we're looking to start submissions in January of 2022. Terms and conditions will be posted to all of those sites soon, and we're quite excited, just building up the momentum as we look towards 2022 and sharing some of this information onto social media and through our various websites. But because it is exciting, it's been something that we've been working on for quite a long time behind the scenes. And Steve, John's asked you about horror stories and maybe some of the controversies around animation awards, but is there a specific example that stands out to you of someone being deeply encouraged by being nominated or indeed winning an award, and it sort of really spurring them on?
No, winning an award's a horrible experience. People should avoid it at all costs. I think that they do more harm to somebody's ego. No, sorry. Absolutely. I feel that our conversation might have gone down the wrong path a little bit. I think me and John got a little bit carried away. It's the thing where you go to a bad restaurant, you'll tell everybody about it. You go to a good restaurant, you might only tell one or two people about it. So I think it's more fun to have conversations about the things that went wrong as opposed to the things that go right. In terms of the things that go right, our first year when we gave away these awards, people who couldn't turn up to the awards sent us videos. And one of them was from Nina Gantz, who was an animator who did a film called Edmund. And she was squealing at the thought of of winning this award, because it was made by McKinnon Saunders and all that type of stuff as well. Every year we get people, we had somebody welling up. We have people welling up when they accept the awards, and it means a lot to people. It means a lot that they've been recognised. It means a lot that they've been that they've been accepted, because we all get imposter syndrome, and we all get that feeling that we're not good enough. We all get that feeling that we're not a part of something, even though we are. And we are not imposters. We are a legitimate part of the animation landscape. Awards are just there to ensure that we are all being celebrated. We are all being recognised, and we are all being kind of taken part of. For us, in terms of awards at the festival, it's not so much somebody winning an award, but it's somebody who told me that they went to the festival with their students. They sat in the cinema, and the students watched somebody talking about their work and found out that it was made in Manchester. And the student there and then turned around to the lecturer and went, I could do that. And when somebody has that epiphany and that moment of, well, I can be involved in this, when they get given permission to be involved in this, then that's super special. That's fantastic. And I feel that awards do that as well. Awards celebrate those people, and the Harryhausen Awards are going to celebrate those people as well. And I think it's great. So yeah, awards can be an absolutely beautiful thing, and they can be something that it's not just about giving somebody a trophy. It's about celebrating the art form, and it's about, pushing the art form, which I'm all for.
Recently, there was, of course, the BMX Awards at the Olympics, and it got lots of great positive press coverage because people felt that, I could do that, or, I know people in my area that could do that, and it's not something that's out of reach. So I suppose it's reflecting that these experiences with awards and animation and working can be achieved locally, and it's not always the domain of Hollywood or London, as in the case of most television companies have their bases in London. So this whole idea of things being London centric, and of course the foundation is not based in London. So I'm hoping that we'd have a regional aspect. Now I know Connor has great links with the different film festivals and the Edinburgh Festival in particular, where we work. Exhibition is going to be running until February 22. So I'm hoping that everything we do will be housed in Scotland. As long as Nicola Sturgeon allows us to have it there. What would me be in English and all that? She might say no. You never know.
Gingers are always welcome.
Politics there to finish off. You see, I'm kind of Scottish anyway because I'm a ginger, so I'm kind of Irish as well. When it suits me, depending where I'm traveling, I have my Irish passport out. So.
Well, I think as well, it's important, every meeting that we have with Ray's daughter, Vanessa, and all the trustees meetings and so forth, she's always incredibly keen that we are doing something to encourage young filmmakers and young animators, because that's what her dad wanted. She's like, Dad really wanted to encourage people that were, in his shoes when he was 18, when he was winning that first ever competition, and what a boost that gave him over the years. So these awards seem like a really special way of honouring Ray's wishes for the foundation, and to engage further with the animation community in the UK. And Steve, thanks very much for chatting with us today, because it's been excellent to hear your perspective and your experiences as somebody who's so deeply involved within the industry.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to be on. It's a pleasure to be back on the podcast, and it's great to talk to you about this fantastic initiative. I'm looking forward to the Ray Harryhausen Awards when they come about next year. I'm looking forward to hearing about your experiences of selecting the nominees. You're in for a real treat. You're going to really look forward to going through the entries, and you're doing a wonderful thing. So. It's great that Ray's legacy has been celebrated in this way.
Copyright in the Ray Harryhausen podcast is owned by the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation, a registered Scottish charity, number SC001419, 2021. This recording may not be reproduced in whole or in part without written permission from the Foundation. The views expressed within these podcasts do not necessarily reflect those of the Foundation, its trustees or employees. For further terms and conditions, please contact us at rayharryhausen.com, where you can find our Facebook, Instagram and Twitter links.